Yesterday, the governor of New York had a temper tantrum. I can't shake that this guy is so arrogant that he wrote a book bragging about how he handled COVID in New York. That's this guy. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, sometimes I can play a clip like this and then just not even have to say anything. You could say the rest. Minutes after this exchange between the governor of New York and a reporter from the Wall Street Journal, the mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, contradicted Cuomo and said, oh yeah, the New York City schools are closing. We are shutting down. We are going to go to remote online learning entirely, giving parents, incidentally, zero time to prepare for that. I can't even imagine what it must be like for a single mother in New York City with maybe 3 kids in school to suddenly find out that there's not going to be any school, tomorrow. But that's exactly what they did in this train wreck, in this frenzied, confused crap storm of the COVID 2020 year. Listen to this exchange between a Wall Street Journal reporter and the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. Keep in mind, minutes after the exchange, the city announced they are closing the schools in person after all.
The other day you said, this is the city's decision. They have an agreement at 3%. Today you said, well, I might have to impose an orange zone and I might have to close the schools, which an orange zone does. So what's going on? Does the city still have the ability to close its schools? Are you now taking control and saying that you have the power to make this decision? And for the millions of parents who want to know, are the schools going to open tomorrow in New York City?
All right. First of all, let's try not to be obnoxious and offensive in your tone, because you're 100% wrong. We announced the orange zone law over a month ago. I don't know if you were here or if you were paying attention, but that has been in effect for over a month. It always said, if by the state's numbers you hit 3%, the schools close. What's going on here is nothing that the law hasn't said for over a month. We then had the test out procedures. If you were paying attention, you would have known we closed the schools in New York City 2 weeks ago. Remember when we did an orange zone and a red zone in Brooklyn and Queens, and we closed the schools? Don't you remember that?
It was 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're now going to override. We did it already. That's the law, an orange zone and a red zone. Follow the facts.
I'm still confused.
Well, then you're confused.
I'm confused, and
Then I'll tell you what, Jimmy.
Parents are still confused as well. The schools
No,
in New
they're
York
not
City
confused.
tomorrow.
You're confused.
No, I think
Read
parents
the
are
law.
very confused as well.
Read the law, and you won't be confused.
But Governor,
Go ahead.
following Jimmy's question, are the schools going to be open tomorrow?
The schools are open by state law.
But will they be open tomorrow? That's the question. I think Jimmy's correct in asking that question. I don't think it's obnoxious at all.
Well, I don't really care what you think.
So minutes after that disastrous, embarrassing tantrum by Mr. I cured COVID in New York, so I'm writing a book about it and going on The View and yucking it up with Whoopi Goldberg, they closed the schools. So he looked like the ultimate clown, and was shown up by Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And incidentally, irony of ironies, same day as all of that, the New York Times, Nicholas Kristof, big Trump-hating leftist, but a beloved New York Times columnist, headline, "When Trump was right and many Democrats wrong. Children have suffered because many mayors and governors were too willing to close public schools. What are our priorities?" asks the New York Times. Some students don't have a computer or don't have Wi-Fi. Kids regularly miss class because they have to babysit or run errands. or earn money for their struggling families. As Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times points out, Trump has been demanding for months that schools reopen, and on that, he seems to have been largely right. Schools, especially elementary schools, do not appear to have been major sources of coronavirus transmission, and remote learning is proving to be a catastrophe for many low-income children. So there's the governor, this jerk, world-class jerk, screeching at a reporter for his tone and claiming that the schools are open when 5 minutes after the press conference, evidently, they closed the schools anyway. That's leadership for you in New York. Maybe that'll sell some more books for Cuomo. You going to buy one?